Hi guys, my name is Garrett. I'm an addict. Share my screen. All right. So the idea of what I want to talk about today is getting set up with an area or a regional website if you don't have one, and kind of some of the nuances that come along with that, and some of the things that could and should be done. First thing I want to talk about is what is WordPress. WordPress is a free to use open source content management system. Essentially what that means, it's the same principles as the BMLT. It's open, anybody can contribute to it, anybody can use it. You don't have to pay for it. It makes it a really good starting point for, especially for any website, especially an NA website. It's extremely popular. 39% of the web uses WordPress. There's readily available resources and documentation on it. I spend a lot of my days Googling around solutions. If you type in how to do anything with WordPress into Google, you'll come up with 100 different answers. It's extremely user-friendly. You don't need to be a website developer or have a lot of technical experience to put up a WordPress website. There's a lot of tutorials on it. There's, in the documentation, if you go through their documentation, they sit down and go through the basic steps for configuring it. And the other thing, it's completely customizable. So pretty much anything you can imagine you want to display on your website, there's a way to do it. That being made especially more easy nowadays with page builders. It's drag and drop. You can pretty much just say, okay, this is the element that I want to put it on the website here, and it's good to go. There's finding the right plugins. Plugins are essentially what the BMLT satellites are, but for WordPress, for websites. They have a specific purpose. So, like, for instance, the screenshot over here is Elementor, which is a website builder. The purpose of that plugin is to have the drag and drop display. So the back end of it, you can say where you want all the different parts of your website to go. You can find all the plugins on the WordPress. They have an official repository at wordpress.org/plugins. Or if you already have a WordPress website, in the admin area, you can go to, there's a tab that says plugins, and you can search for plugins in there. When you're looking to get a new plugin, let's say you wanted to put a slider on your website, and you go into the plugin, you search for sliders, you're going to come up with probably 100 different ones. The few things that you should really look at is when it was last updated. You want to make sure any plugin that you're installing into your website, you want to make sure that it's actively being maintained. You don't want to install something that hasn't been updated in a year, because so much stuff has changed within the core WordPress over time. You could start getting deprecated functions in it, and it could just completely break your site. So making sure that it's actively updated is probably one of the most important things to do. Active installations, also, you can see this one here has 5 million plus. A lot of people are using it. This isn't quite as important because, like I said, plugins are used for specific purposes. So maybe not that many people have the same, purpose, but a general rule of thumb is the more active installations, the more it's used, the more readily information and documentation is going to be available for it. Support would be available for it. I didn't write it down here, but the WordPress version here, when you're looking at that, when you install WordPress, you're going to be on the version, I believe the current version is 5.6. So what you want to make sure is that the WordPress version is compatible with the core version of WordPress that you're using. Reviews, you can see down here that they got 5,132 5-star reviews on it. They do have a couple, lower ones. Not everybody's going to like it. Some people are going to have problems with it. But for the most part, looking at this, I'd be pretty confident saying, okay, for the most part, this is a good plugin. Not many people have had issues with it, and I would be more apt to installing it. So an events calendar, this is one of the things that I end up hearing a lot, especially in the BMLT community, is how do we effectively display service body meetings? The BMLT was set up to display recovery meetings, which are on a weekly basis. There's really no good way to handle, once a month service committee, RSC meetings, ASC meetings. This is actually a screenshot of the events calendar on the CTNA website. So what we have in here right now, there's only a very few actual events going on due to COVID. Everything's closed, but you can see in the blue, we got an anniversary meeting for a group on January 16th, and then we have Dopes on Slopes. It's put on by one of our areas. It's a ski trip for the weekend. So in the yellow, you can see all of our ASC meetings. So we have, PR, we have an area service meeting, literature subcommittees. So those are all in there. So what having an events calendar will do is it'll give you a way to keep all your events, in quotes, together. So it's not, you don't have service commitments sitting over here. You don't have area activities sitting over here. It's all together and you can easily filter through it. If you, up at the top of the screenshot, you can see categories, and this underneath categories, I wish the screenshot captured it. You can select between events and committees, and that'll filter out. So if you select committees, it'll filter out, only show the ones that are in yellow. If you select events, it'll only show the ones in blue. And then if you drop down tags, we can actually filter this by each individual area. We have 9 areas in our region. Each one is listed here, and then we can pick out, if you wanted to find one in New Haven, you can drop that down, click New Haven, and then you only see the events or committees that are in New Haven. And then the other thing that's come up a lot is a way to hide sensitive data. I've seen this come up a few times in different service discussions, and it recently came up with us in our region, is hiding sensitive data. We display all of our minutes on our website for our region. So and areas too, we have all the minutes for or at least what's been submitted from the areas, and we post that up for record keeping. But one of the things that we realized was a while ago, there was one that was put up actually from 2015 that set of minutes that got indexed with somebody's phone number on it. So that's something that when running a regional area website, and you're going to post information where there could potentially be, private information shared. One of the things that we did was password protect all of our minutes. So you can see right here, right above it, there's a little note that says minutes are password protected. The password is fill in the blank. We admitted that we were blank over our addiction, that our lives have become unmanageable. So it's not anything that's difficult. Anybody who's attended a meeting or two would know that. I'm sure probably people who haven't attended meetings would know that, but it does 2 things. One, it makes it so it's not accessible to anybody just going there and seeing it. And also it keeps it hidden from Google bots, which are essentially the search engine will send out to index your site. And as it crawls through your site, it's going to pull up everything that it can find, this is a good way of blocking them from being able to index these particular files on your site. And that was really quick, but hopefully at least that'll give you some idea of kind of some of the things to do with setting up a website for your area. If there is any questions, anything specific, when we do the Q&A, I'd be happy to answer more specific questions for anybody. Thanks.